December of '99 band. All right, okay, well, how hard can that be? Oh, wait, we have to watch every movie ever made from that time. Because it's easy to be like, yeah, Repo Man. But then there was like, oh, wait, there's a punk in Booty Call. Whoops, we have to watch every movie ever made.
There actually are 2 punks in Booty Call.
So what we did was we went to Scarecrow Video, which is the biggest video store in the world in Seattle, and we spent it was spring break, I believe. We spent our spring break going through every single movie in the entire store. It's like 80,000 movies, I think. And we did, and it wasn't like I started at one end, he started the other, we met in the middle. We each went through each movie and we're like, well, what do you think about this one? What do you think? Is there a punk in this, maybe? Oh, okay, add it to the list.
It was if I may interject, it was any movie that took place in a major city, or had a high school, or a party, or a beach.
Yeah.
Maybe. Potentially.
That's where we started, but then we're like, well, as we kept going, and then eventually we had, I think, like 30 pages of small font of all these movies. And so then what I did and what he did is we would just go, the Scarecrow was nice enough to let us get the movies for free, and we would just, every Friday, fill up 2 garbage bags of VHS tapes and DVDs, go home, and just fast forward or watch the movie if it was good, and looking for, like, playing Where's Waldo for a punk. It took 5 years. And we were lucky enough to have a lot of our friends, like Kayla, help us write lots of the reviews because it was so goddamn overwhelming. And in the end, we had, I think, it's about 1,100 movies in the book. Some where the punk is just like in a Bette Midler movie crossing the street in the background, others where he is or she is the main character. It took forever. We'll never make a book again.
So, out of those 1,100 movies, Steve said that, seriously, many times, but out of the 1,100 movies that we covered, we actually, between all the people who helped us with the book, there's a guy named Spencer Hoyt, who fast-forwarded through about 12 movies every night for about 3 years, and on weekends many more. And, scanning through movies included, we looked at over 20,000 movies, very truly, over 20,000 movies for the book, trying to make sure that it was as comprehensive as possible. And what we learned while doing that is that there's really 2 ways that punks are treated in movies. One of which is, in a movie like Suburbia from 1984, not that shitty one, but the original Suburbia, or like, a lot of documentaries, where punks are treated as people that have difficult lives, that are striving for some sort of place in the world, etc. And that accounts for about 0.03% of the punk movies. The other movies about punks completely paint them as these like cannibalistic, broken glass eating, like kick themselves in the face type subhuman jackasses. And that is really how Hollywood treated punks. Pretty much, always. And probably still to this day. If you're going to have a movie that takes place in a dystopian society, if things have crumbled, if somebody gets out of their car in a bad part of town, the way the audience knows that is because a dude with a blue mohawk walks by. And that is this universal indicator that things are shitty, is that there's a punk there. And sadly, that is really been the pervasive treatment of them in movies, and it's hilarious. And that is, from Police Academy 2 all the way to Booty Call, the great Hollywood classics have all contained these stereotypes. But in no movie, I think, have those stereotypes been just exploded into non-reality, but really, really beautifully, more so than in Class of 1984, which we're showing a 35mm print of tonight. So, really, I think this is our book release. We just got these flown in from China 2 days ago, where they're printed just for this show. We only got like a handful of copies, so we could skip customs just so we could have them here for you guys. And we think Class 1984 is ideal to show the most twisted, ridiculous, and truly entertaining representation of punks in history. And Kayla, who's a big fan of the movie, had dealt with the director. She screened the movie before, and we invited her up because she wrote a lot of the very best stuff in the book. And I invited her to, I guess, do an introduction for the movie specifically.
Yeah, so and actually in the book I interviewed Stefan Arngrim, who's one of the punks in the punk gang in the film. He's the one who plays Drugstore, and all of his fixing scenes are real. And anyway, this movie it was shot in Canada. It was shot in Toronto at a high school called Central Tech, which is not the greatest school in the world, but it's certainly nothing like the school it's portrayed as in the movie. apparently all the graffiti and everything that they painted on the school for the film never came off afterwards, and the school board still hates this shockingly prophetic movie. I mean, it was incredibly violent for its time. Well, still, like, pretty shockingly violent. But at the time, this was like the kind of movie that, you know, you did not want your kids to go see, because if they saw it, there was danger that the next day they'd be wearing a garbage bag and knifing people in school or something. But it's made by Mark Lester, who made, you know, the great classics Roller Boogie and Truck Stop Women. And this is, you know, his vision of what he thought the American high school was turning into. Because, of course, even though it's set in Canada, it's supposed to be an American high school. And it's just, I mean, it has sort of, you know, come true in certain ways. You know, like, there are, like, lots of kids with knives and guns in schools wandering around, and it's like... Roddy McDowall is one of the teachers. Roddy McDowall gives one of the best performances of his career, I feel, in this movie. There's a classic scene in the movie, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, that will live on in our minds and in our hearts forever. And yeah, it's just it's a classic sort of vigilante revenge story, sort of like Blackboard Jungle or something like this. And I don't want to ruin it, because you're going to watch it, but after you see it, you're totally going to want to go to Toronto to Central Tech and check out the original high school from class of 1984. So, back to you, Zach.
By the way, I don't know if you mentioned this, because I just ran really fast to go do something. But the Central Tech, the high school they used, it was a high school that was still having classes. But they had to make it look like it was in this completely damaged, ruined world. So, when all the students were on their summer break, the film crew came in and trashed the high school completely. And on the wall they wrote, like, "Fuck teacher," and just all this shit. So they had to do this, destroy the school, and then fix it before the students came back. And so when you see this in the movie, you're going to realize the kids, 2 weeks after this movie wrapped, were back walking around the halls where it said, like, "abortion lick," or whatever, on the wall. So there's a lot of weird things about that. Part of the book, a big part of the book, is interviews with all the filmmakers and actors who tell all these ridiculous stories. And there's about 622 pictures in here, too, and a bunch of full-color stuff, which was a pain in the ass to get, but we did it all for you. So, the point is, we're going to have copies, we're going to have copies of the book. We're only able to get, like, very few, like I said, but they will be for sale after the movie's over, in a little table right by the door, if you want to buy them, and all the proceeds go to paying the shipping from China.
So blog about it, so that way we'll get money someday from it.
All you bloggers better tweet that, eBay. Okay, so...
write a nice letter to your governor saying, yeah. Should buy it.
So, to wrap up, instead of showing a bunch of classic 35mm trailers, which is what we would normally do in a situation like this show, instead we got the guys from Everything Is Terrible, who are this really amazing, like, video destructo group who do these clip shows. And they put together a, I think, 12 or 13 minute Hollywood punk clips collection of just the most ridiculous moments of punk clips. And we supply them.
Yeah, we picked the clips, and they made a beautiful job of putting it coherently together.
Yeah, it's 6.5 hours of punk clips, and it's like 12 minutes long now, and everything's in it, which was insane. So if you're prone to seizures, enjoy your seizure. And that's going to play first, and then the movie, and then we'll be hanging out and, you know, like shaking your babies and kissing your hands afterwards out in the lobby. So thank you guys very much. Those of you who have been supportive of this project all the time, including my employers, who are very patient with us working on it, including my colleague Lars, who had to hear about this fucking thing for years. Thank you guys all. I want to say thanks to you, and I also have one more very special thanks to make. It's something that this book could not have existed without. I'll be right back. Never ever forget how important this guy is. If it wasn't for this, we would have had no nostalgic memories of watching movies in our childhood, and half the movies that have ever been made on VHS have never come out on DVD and sure aren't going to make it to fucking Blu-ray. So stay true, go get a free VCR on Craigslist, and always remember what makes life fun. Again, thanks, and now, ladies and gentlemen, Destroy All Movies / Class of 1984.